St. Mark family. It's Barbara Austin and Father Fabiano.
Hi, everyone.
And we've been invited for a special episode of In the Kitchen with Father. Today we are in the rectory kitchen.
Yes, we are.
Father's going to make a very special recipe for us.
I'm going to make stuffed onions and peppers.
Stuffed onions. And where did this recipe come from?
This is actually my grandmother's recipe, my father's mother.
Wow. And so it's been in the family a long time.
Yes, it has. She used to make it for special occasions, and it was her go-to Sunday meal.
And so she passed it down?
Yes, I think mostly to her daughters-in-law, because I'm not sure her sons cook, but anyhow. Yes, my mother has since started making this recipe.
Awesome. So where are we going to start? What ingredients do we have?
Well, today we have obviously the onions and the peppers, which we're going to need. We also have some thawed spinach that is defrosted, and it's been draining to get all the water out of it. We have ground beef and cheese, Parmesan cheese, salt and pepper, and a few eggs.
Looks pretty yummy. So what's the first steps? It looks like you've already done some of your chopping.
I have been working here, yes, but I saved a couple to show everyone how you prepare the onions and peppers. So these are actually sweet Italian peppers. They're not the big bell peppers that you might be used to. We're not big fans of big bell peppers at home, so that's why Mom switched to these Italian peppers. So I'm following her instructions. And we're going to cut the top of the pepper off here. And then we're going to cut the pepper in half. And we're going to cut out these the ribs of the pepper here, because they're not very appetizing. And we're also going to shake out any seeds that might be in there. There you go. So that's what you want. You want it like a little cup, because you're going to put your filling in there.
Looks almost like a little tulip flower.
It is. They're pretty. Okay, there you go.
All right, so now what do you do with your onion?
Well, the onion, I'm going to switch to the bigger knife because the onions are bigger. You also want onions that are kind of an oval shape instead of a circle because they hold the filling a little bit better.
And what kind of an onion is that, Father?
It's just a regular yellow onion.
Okay. Not a sweet onion?
Not a sweet onion, just a regular yellow onion.
Oh. That's going to have a little bit of a bite.
Well, it gets really soft when it gets cooked, so it's not too strong. At least, I don't think it is. We're cutting the ends of the onion off here, and we're going to peel back the outer layers, because nobody wants to eat those. Okay. And then you're going to start peeling the onion apart. So the outer layer of the onion is actually thin. So I take 2 layers like that to make a little cup.
Oh, very good.
And then as you get further inside, the layers get more thin. So you don't need, they get a little thinner. So you don't need extra cups. You can just do 1.
That's a lot of onions. You're going to stuff all of those.
I think I'm going to stuff all of those. We have to make dinner for Father Foley and Zach tonight, so we got 3 mouths to feed tonight.
And so why aren't they here in the kitchen helping?
Well, that's a good question. Sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen are not a good thing. I'll leave it at that. But, if you don't use all of them, you can always use them for something else. So
right.
I just kind of made a lot because, I usually just make a lot of everything because that's what I learned at home. Too much is never enough.
And so when you were at home and you were eating as a family, can you tell us a little bit of what that was like? And
well, I remember when I was young, we had dinner every night as a family, and Mom cooked dinner every night except Friday night.
Why not Friday night?
Friday night was pizza night.
Oh.
So when Dad got home from work, we would order out and we would have pizza for dinner every Friday night.
That's kind of special.
Yeah. I always look forward to pizza night. It was fun. So now that we've pulled apart all of the onions, we actually are saving the middle part of the onion.
Okay.
And we're gonna dice up the middle part of the onion and cook it up and use it as part of the filling.
Oh, good.
Okay. So
all right.
I'm gonna dice these up here. And of course you have to be really careful of your fingers.
So this recipe, you're going to make it available to the St. Mark community, right?
Yes. So in the comments of this video, I'm going to put the recipe. So it's down below the video.
Okay.
I'm going to write it down. I don't think it's ever been written down. It's passed along orally.
Oh, sounds like some other traditions we know. Right?
Yes. Well, all of the Old Testament was passed down orally before it was ever written down. So those were stories that, the Jewish people would tell their children, and they would pass them down, and then eventually somebody decided to write them down. And now we have them.
So what do you think the value was in having dinner with your family every night?
Well, it gave us an opportunity to talk about the day. I think, as kids, we really didn't understand what that was like, the importance of that. But I certainly remember that as being important, that we would speak about the day, everything that happened at school. We'd have an opportunity to catch my dad up on whatever happened during the day because he was out at work and Mom stayed home. So you might want to see that in order to chop these up finer, I'm keeping the one end of the knife on the board and then just running the knife through the onions to make them smaller. Pro tip, keep your thumb out of the way. You don't want the thumb to wind up underneath your knife. Okay, so those are ready to go. And we are going to fry these on the stove here. Going to heat up our pan.
So, what would you vote? Electric versus gas?
Oh, that's easy. Gas stove is the best. This, as our friends can see, is an electric stove, which I'm very grateful to have this stove. It's a very nice stove. But gas is my preferred method of cooking.
So you threw a little butter and a little oil.
Yes, so we put butter in the pan and we put olive oil in the pan. And
why both of them?
Well, because the butter adds flavor, and the olive oil has a higher smoking point, so it helps us to fry. And we're going to let that melt. And once that's melted and hot, we're going to put our onions in there.
All right. And so, many families are finding themselves for the first time in a long time having dinner together as a family.
Right.
And
yes.
So what would you say are some of the things that are very valuable for parents to know about the importance of sitting down and having family dinner together?
Well, I think it's important, especially in the 21st century, to have a time for personal connections. So many of our connections are electronically, through our phones and our iPads and all that kind of stuff. So there's an opportunity to put all that down, put it away for dinner time, and to talk to each other and to make those personal connections.
Right.
That as human beings we all need and God created us to have. So I'm just putting all of the onions in the pan here. I'm going to turn it down a little bit so it'll saute.
Well, and we have to also understand that food represents, in the Bible especially, right? We break bread together.
Well, that's a big theme in the Bible. Obviously, also banquets are a big theme in the Bible. Jesus' first miracle was at a wedding banquet.
Right.
Heaven is described as the banquet of the Lamb. And
And there's also 7 eating scenes in the Gospel of Luke. So eating together is really important. I'm sorry, there are 10 eating
10?
scenes. Yes.
Wow. I've never sat down to add them up.
10 eating scenes. 7 before the Eucharist, and then the Eucharist, and then 2 after the Eucharist.
Okay.
So Luke makes that very prominent.
A centerpiece of his narrative, yeah. While these are sautéing, we need salt and pepper.
So you're just kind of putting a little dash here and there.
Yeah, maybe a teaspoon and pepper. I usually like to add salt and pepper as I go along because I think it makes things taste better than if you kind of just dump it on it once it's cooked. I like to season as I go.
Well, it kind of cooks it into the food
better. It makes it part of the food as opposed to put on top. So yes, even the scriptures end with the banquet of heaven,
right?
The wedding feast of the Lamb, and the Psalms sing of food being symbolic of all the good things that God gives to His children. So food is really woven throughout the scriptures, and so food can be an opportunity for us to be connected with each other and connected with God. If you chop these up pretty thin, they really don't take all that long to sauté. So these are really ready. And what we're going to do is we're going to take them off the stove, and I'm going to add them to some that I made a little bit earlier and give them a chance to cool a little bit.
And for you folks at home, I can tell you can smell those onions.
You know what's funny about this recipe is that I didn't like this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So when we went to my grandmother's house and she served this, I was never a big fan of it. I would take the ground beef out of the middle and eat that, and not eat the onion and the pepper. I think maybe it was too strong for me as a kid. But now that I've rediscovered them, I think they're delicious. So I think it's just kind of funny how your taste changes over time.
That's right. We expand and expand and expand.
Right. So we're just going to put these on the side and let them cool down. Okay. I think, let me get rid of this here, so we'll have a place to work. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so what's next?
So here we have the ground beef. This is, I believe it's 85-15 ground beef. You could use whatever you want, 80-20, 90-10, whatever you want, whatever you have. If you could make it with ground turkey or ground chicken if you wanted to have less beef. You could. This is a great recipe because it's scalable. So you could make a whole lot or you can make a little bit.
Now, was your grandmother on your father's side? What nationality was she?
She was German.
German.
Yes.
So this is not an Italian recipe.
This is not an Italian recipe. So contrary to what everyone believes about me, I'm not super Italian. I think it's because my last name happens to be super Italian that everyone thinks that. So my father is German and Italian, obviously my last name. And my mother is Polish and Swiss. So I'm all American.
Yeah.
So to this ground beef, we're going to add that package of frozen spinach.
Now, do you know how much? It was just one?
It was just one package.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you wanted to have more spinach, you could make 2 packages. If you don't like spinach, you can leave it out. But it's really important to let it drain so that you get rid of all that water. You don't want all that water in your ground beef.
It would probably mess up your consistency.
Yeah, it would be much too wet. And then we're going to use ground cheese. This is ground Pecorino Romano cheese. And we're just going to kind of eyeball it. Mom says it's about 2 cups should go in here. So we're going to I'm going to put about 2 cups in. You could measure it out if you wanted. Also salt and pepper. So you want to go easy with the salt because the cheese is a little salty. So we're going to go easy on the salt. But then we're going to have a generous amount of freshly ground cracked pepper. Okay. And then we're going to use 2 eggs to bind everything together.
Kind of like a meatloaf.
A little bit like a meatloaf, yes. You need something to help hold everything together. And we're going to give it a little scramble to get it started.
So how long have you enjoyed being in the kitchen, Father?
Well, I think I've probably been in the kitchen my entire life because I remember as a kid helping Mom in the kitchen, you know, doing little tasks in the kitchen with her. Mm-hmm. And then as I got older, I just started cooking on my own. So by the time I was in the 8th grade, Mom had gone back to work. So I would start dinner when I got home from school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been in the kitchen a long time. And then you also want to add your sautéed onions. So you put all that in there. And the good thing about knowing your way around the kitchen is you never starve.
That's the truth.
And I know, you know, I don't have any particular cuisine that's my favorite. I like to try lots of different recipes and different types of food. And now I'm going to get right in there with my hands. I did wash them before we started, so.
And so you're just basically combining all these ingredients together.
Exactly. And kind of lightly combining them. You don't want them to be mushed together. You want to keep them light, but you want everything to be mixed.
Great.
So I think my bowl might be a little
small
here, but that's okay.
Could have gone with a little bigger.
Could have gone with a bigger bowl, but that's all right.
That looks like fun.
Smells good. All that cheese. You know, if folks wanted to go a little lighter on the cheese, they could go lighter on the cheese. If they wanted to try just Parmesan cheese or different blends of cheese, that's what's great about this recipe. You can make it lots of different ways.
Yeah, and you could probably change it a little bit.
Sure.
More to what your taste buds.
Exactly. So I don't want to overmix that. Everything looks like it's spread throughout. And together. Okay, there we are.
All right, Father. So now your meat is all
combined.
Mixed up.
Yep.
So what's the next step now?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat the oven.
And what does it go to?
It's going to go to 350.
Okay.
Okay. And so we'll get that going. And then I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of this baking dish and spread it around with a brush just to coat the bottom of the baking dish so nothing sticks.
Okay. And once you get them stuffed and in the oven, about how long do they cook?
They're going to cook for a half hour.
Okay.
Not
long.
No, not long at all. You can check them, if after a half hour, maybe you'd like the onion to be cooked a little more, you could leave them in for a little bit longer.
Okay.
So it's pretty flexible. So we're going to take the onion cup and we're going to take some of our ground beef mixture. And I'm just using a tablespoon here. And I'm going to put it right inside the onion. And then put it in my baking dish.
So how many of these would you eat at dinner?
Oh my goodness. The last time my mother made these, I think I would be ashamed to admit how many I ate.
So a serving could be 8 or 10?
Well, it also depends. Like you see, some of these onions are very big.
Yes.
Right? And then others of them, they're kind of small.
Yes.
So if you eat a whole bunch of little ones, you could maybe have 10.
Okay.
So there, it depends on what size onion you're.
Well, and your peppers are pretty small.
The peppers are tiny. Yeah, the peppers are kind of like a little snack. They're like a 1-bite meal. So we're just filling these up. And of course, it also depends on what you're serving with it. So I think tonight we'll probably have a salad. And I also have some potatoes that I'm going to make. So, if you're serving other things with it, you might want to serve pasta with it. Maybe rice if your family likes rice. So there's lots of different things you can serve with it.
So this is really very different from a normal stuffed pepper recipe because you're not using rice and you're not using a pasta sauce.
Right, yeah. So a lot of the stuffed recipes will have rice in it as the filler in the beef.
So it's less beef, yeah.
And like we said, these little peppers, they don't hold a whole lot of filling. So, and then they're also a little hard to kind of get to stand up straight. So I think maybe we'll take a knife and kind of cut the bottom of that guy so that he'll sit straight in the pan. So I'm just going to keep stuffing and filling up my pan and then we'll be ready to put them in the oven.
All right, Father, it looks like all of your onions and all your peppers are in the pan.
Yes, they are. Everything's ready to go. Before they go in the oven, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of, just drizzle some olive oil over them. And then we are also going to sprinkle the top with some more Parmesan cheese.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're ready to go in the oven.
They are.
And so will they go in the oven with some tin foil or do they go in the oven straight up?
You know what? That's a really good question.
Uh-oh.
I'm not sure.
Sounds like maybe we need to call a lifeline.
I think so. And I think I know the exact person I'm going to call to ask. That would be my mom. She's my go-to for kitchen questions. Let's see.
Hopefully she's home and available.
I'm pretty sure she's home. Nobody's going anywhere these days.
That's right. For 5 seconds,
I forgot.
Hello, Michael.
Hi, Dad. How are you?
All right. What are you up to?
I'm in the kitchen, and I have a question for Mom. Is she there?
Sure.
Okay.
She's eating. Hold on.
Okay.
What's up?
Hi. So you are on the first episode of In the Kitchen with Father.
Very nice.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited that you're here as our special guest. We're making the onions and peppers, and I have a question. Do they go in the oven with tin foil or without tin foil?
Without tin foil.
Without tin foil.
I would have lost that bet.
Yeah, I would have guessed they would go with tin foil.
Without tin foil.
And they
That's
go.
the way I make them.
And they go for.
I mean, you could try it with tin foil. I mean.
Well,
I'm no expert.
how long do they go? Half hour?
Half hour, 45 minutes.
Oh, okay. So.
I'm sure the peppers will only take a half hour.
Well, I put all the peppers in their own pan.
Very good.
Okay. So after
That's what I would suggest.
After a half hour, I'll check them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Anytime.
Okay.
I'm always here for you.
I know. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
What a sweet mom.
Yes. She's always ready for expert kitchen advice. Okay, here they go. And I think they're gonna fit.
Wow, look at that. You've got a great big oven.
That is a nice big oven. Okay, so we'll close that up and we'll set the timer for a half hour. And we'll check them in 30 minutes.
Hi, Father.
Hi.
So it's been about 40 minutes now.
Yes, it has.
And your peppers are still in the oven.
And the onions and peppers are still in the oven.
And
Yep.
it looks like you've been kind of busy. What have you got?
Yes. So I made a green salad that we're going to serve with dinner. There's
that
some
looks
carrots
delicious.
and tomatoes and a little vinaigrette with oil and balsamic vinegar.
And it looks like you've also have something on the stove.
Yes. I made potatoes, which is going to be our side dish. So just little potatoes that I boiled until they were soft.
Oh.
And then I drained them and I fried them in a pan with some olive oil and butter and rosemary and garlic.
Ooh,
And now they're just, and actually I with the potato smasher, I smashed them flat. So they're just sitting here warm till dinner's
Fathers
ready.
are going to eat good tonight. All right, let's see how those onions and peppers turned out.
Okay, let's get these guys out of the oven.
Pull them out.
I think they're ready. All right, peppers first.
Ooh, they smell so good.
I do.
Look at that.
Onions.
They've shrunk up, Father. Is that normal?
That is normal. Yes, they will shrink from being in the oven, and the ground beef will shrink too because it lets go of its fat.
Right.
So there we are. Okay.
All right.
Do you think we should try them?
Yeah, let's taste test with pepper maybe this time.
Oh, pepper. All right. I also think we have some other taste testers here in the rectory tonight. Maybe we should call them in.
Do you think they'd like to join
I
a
think
taste
they
test?
would. Father
you.
Foley, Zach, would you like to have a taste test? Here they come.
I can hear them.
Here they come.
Sounds like a great idea.
All right.
We've been summoned.
Here they are.
We've been summoned.
All right.
All right. You're welcome.
Father Fabiano's been working on this all afternoon.
All afternoon.
Wow.
All right, here we go. I'm going to taste test it.
Give it a try. I'm going to try a pepper. What do we think? Are they good?
So it's lost a lot of its bite, Father.
Mhm.
So it's not like eating it raw.
No. And actually, you could probably leave these onions in a little longer if you wanted them cooked a little more, but I still like them to have just a little crunch. And
They're very good this way.
and thank you. And when you try the peppers actually are sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're really delicious. So that's onions and peppers.
Awesome. Thank you, Father.
Of course.
Appreciate it. All right, that's it for In the Kitchen with Father. We hope you join us for our next episode.
And don't forget, if they like this video, if they could please give us a like. Also to subscribe to our channel and leave your comments in the comment section. We'd be happy to read them.
Yeah, and I hope you guys try this recipe out from Father Fabiano's great grandmother.